In the mid-1960s, there was a lot of racial unrest, riots in the cities, and my dad, Jim Bosher, along with some of his friends, wanted to do something to address the problem of the racial unrest in a creative way and also in a faith-filled way. He had had connections with camps before and thought that a way to work on racial reconciliation would be to create a camp for kids.
Even though Tall Turf was born out of the turbulence of the 60s, society still needs Tall Turf. Sometimes we look around and we are dismayed at the lack of progress our communities have experienced. The need for Tall Turf is just as great now as it was in the 60s. And it needs to be creative, and it will be creative in addressing those needs among children and youth, among teens, among young adults, among families, all the way into communities not just in West Michigan, but beyond.
It was great to be able to look back over the 50 years of this organization and see how it served numerous families throughout Grand Rapids, West Michigan, and even into Chicago and also Detroit.
Hazel and Ginger and Hazel. Yours. Big mustache. Ready? 1, 2, 3, go!
There are many challenges in Grand Rapids, in West Michigan, and even our country overall. I think it's important for organizations like Tall Turf Ministries to continue to do what we do, which is transform communities through reconciliation.
I think one word summarizes what Camp Tall Turf is all about: reconciliation.
To summarize camp in one sentence, it would be to take people out of their comfort zones in order to teach them. It brings people from the city out to the country, into nature. It brings people who normally would not associate with each other together. It forces people to look around and see what God has created.
Tall Turf stands out to me in that they talk about both faith and racial reconciliation, which is something that the church is not always entering into that conversation. So they stand out to me in that regard, that we are talking about race and different issues around inequality and justice, but we're also talking about that from a Christian perspective.
I had a cousin that worked here, and she was like, "You should work at this camp." First I was like, "Nah, I'm good." But then she was like, "No, really." Then I came, and 3 years later, it's one of the best decisions I ever made.
It seems like anywhere I go in Grand Rapids, I meet someone that has either gone to Tall Turf, know someone who has worked at Tall Turf, or who has been personally impacted by Tall Turf. That's been past staff here that were up at our commissioning service, to my neighbors on Lafayette Avenue. They have told me, "You work at Camp Tall Turf? I was there as a kid."
Yeah.
That had an impact on my life.
We aim for diverse groups of people to live, learn, play, and worship together according to God's vision of wholeness. We have a lot of campers that qualify for a substantial amount of scholarship dollars. We need support to be able to offer the services to these youth and families in need of our services.
Ephesians 6, 10, 11. Armor ready? Rock steady. Be strong in the Lord, strong in the Lord. Be strong in the Lord, strong in the Lord. Be strong in the Lord, strong in the Lord. Be strong in the Lord, strong in the Lord. His mighty power. Whoa!
For me, I feel like this is where I really first experienced like God, and just like really came to believe in Him for myself. You know, I think that's a major part of your faith is you have to take that step of making it your own. Like, especially if you grow up in a Christian household.
Tall Turf creates leaders. Tall Turf has been creating leaders in the community since it began 50 years ago. And these leaders are making an impact in their community. Campers, past staff, board members. And we want to continue that. We want to continue to create leaders for the community, for not just Grand Rapids. They go out into the world and they serve God's purpose for their lives. And your investment in Tall Turf is what is helping to create these leaders.
The LITs. I see these 15, 16, 17-year-old kids come out of this program and become adults. They come out with confidence. They actually come to the board meetings, and their vision, their insight, it's beyond their years.
We have a camp that has been in operation for 50 years, and there are some things that we like to do to change in order to commemorate this wonderful year. So our dining hall has gone through a lot of renovations over the past 3 years through the generous support of our donors. So there's naming opportunities for our dining hall and for all of the 16 cabins as well.
We do need people to give. It's important that we continue our mission, our ministry. It's an investment in Tall Turf, but it's an investment in the community.
God has greater the next 50 years, but not without you guys.